Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me for the Sit Down, Stand Up first episode. Right off the jump, I knew we were in for a rocky start. I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to plan anything. I'm not gonna map anything out. We're just going to go off the cuff. First thing I forget is how to say the name of the podcast. I'm like, what was it? Stand up, sit down, or sit down, stand up? I mean, it kind of works either way technically, but I think sit down, stand up, or sit down, stand up. Like you have to emphasize it, right? And that's what you want. You want a label, a brand where, you have to have your inflection right. Otherwise it doesn't make sense, or it could be switched around. Either way, this is the sit down, stand up, whatever. And I'm a morning person. So in case you can't tell, this is the morning and I'm doing it. This is a 5 o'clock shadow. It's just 5 o'clock in the morning. For those of you who happen to be listening, and not watching, I can't explain the joke. I'm sorry, you're missing out on it. It is hilarious though. Make no mistake. I do have my muddy mug here. If anybody wants to sponsor this shenanigan, I will slap your face, your mug on my mug, or your business or what have you on here, and do a little branding. As you can see, it would be money well spent because this is where the mug's going to spend most of its time. But in the brief moments where I bring it up, there you go. There you go, advertising. There is no coffee in this, by the way. I have an amazing superpower. Coffee does not do jack squat for me. Not coffee. That's not coffee's fault. It's caffeine's fault. All the enes, morphine, caffeine. I get it from my dad's side where we just don't have. We're not susceptible to it, right? And which is great. I'm not susceptible to the powers of things that can numb you. I got my wisdom teeth taken out, which is fun to begin with. And they shoot you up with Novocaine, and that's like my worst nightmare, because when I was a kid, I got smacked my head against a wall. Well, somebody helped with that. I'm not gonna call my mom out or anything, but I mean, I was young. It was a mistake. Things happen, and pretty much I need to get stitches. And apparently, I was freaking out so much they were holding me down. I just remember incredible pain, and I believe it came from the Novocaine, which again, I mean, there's just some things in life that are very peculiar and very strange. It hurts to get a numbing agent. I mean, look, everything has a cost. I understand that. But anyway, the bottom line is I was getting my wisdom teeth pulled, and I needed Novocaine. And so they shoot it. The bottom wasn't too bad. I don't remember where they stuck the needle. It wasn't the worst. But for your top, they stick it in the roof of your mouth. And it hurts. Like the whole head area is very sensitive. I know they talk about different parts of the body being sensitive. The most sensitive part of my body is whatever part is being stuck by the needle. That's how it feels at the time. So they're sticking me with the Novocaine. I was not loving that, but hey, okay. Apparently getting your teeth yanked out of your head is going to be more painful. And it kind of was. I do remember the dentist had his knee on my, like on or near around my chest. Like he was really getting it. I was just thinking, this does not feel sophisticated. I don't feel like I'm in the 21st century. Are we in the 21st century? I can never remember. I think it's 21st. 21st is like we're ahead, right? By year. So it's, yeah, we were the 19th century when it was in the 1900s. No. We in the 22nd? No, we can't be in the 22nd century. Whatever. In this day and age, it's not something that I felt like this is how we should be doing things. I felt there should be some kind of, magical machine, something that made a bunch of noises and was very white and very expensive and just did things. And I don't know, a robotic arm, anything but a dentist up there with a pair of pliers, essentially, a glorified pair of pliers. And there's got to be a supply place for that kind of stuff, where they're like, we take normal crappy tools, or they're not crappy, they're great tools, normal tools, and we make them look medically. I don't know how. I mean, that's why they're making the big bucks, because they could think of how to do that and how to sell that. But it's essentially a pair of pliers that just looks like it's not exactly a pair of pliers. Like, no, we're not trying to pull out a nail, or you can tell how handy I am. I'm grasping it, trying to figure out what to use a pair of pliers for. What did I use a pair of pliers for last? I don't know. That's a dead end. I got nothing. But he was using these dental pliers on me, and he's yanking them, pulling, and then he commentated, which wasn't great. I don't need to hear you tell me, oh, well, we got some of that tooth left in there. We got about 3/4 of it out, but there's still a little bit in there. Gonna get it out, because to me, Like it is withstood your first attempt. It has withstood your first assaults on it. Like your best shot. You got up there you got your leverage, you got your amazing pliers, and you gave it your best, and that quarter of the tooth defied you. So it's probably what the root is connected to. I don't know the anatomy of teeth. I know there are roots. They're probably in the middle because that would make sense, but I don't know. He's telling me he's got 3/4 of it out. So I don't know if the root is exposed or what have you. Well, I didn't know. And then I did. And because, it's my articulate way. They tell you, of course, let me know if it hurts. So I'm like, don't expect, excuse me, dentist, doctor. I mean, they probably don't mind that. They're doctors, right? Doctors or dentists? Dentists are doctors? All dentists are doctors, but not all doctors are dentists. Is that? I think that's how that works. I think I got that right. Well, like I said, order is important. Anyway, don't expect me to very articulate and tell you exactly where the pain is or anything. I'm just gonna. That's all I can do because my mouth is open. You've got your hand in my mouth with your medicinal pliers, and so that's all you're gonna get. And so I give him the sign, the universal sign. Probably should have. That's how I should have phrased that. Anyway, we're winging it. This is why it's sit down stand up. I was gonna get to a whole intro, but apparently this is what I'm doing now. Anyway, so they got this sharp stabbing pain, and he's like, "Well, you shouldn't feel anything." Well, that solved the problem right there. Okay, well, I just shouldn't feel something, so therefore I couldn't have, right? Couldn't have been having it. No, he was brow furrows. That's always a good sign. He's either confused or concerned. Either way, I don't want the guy doing these things. It's supposed to be no surprises. I've got it all under control. Do this a million times, not a problem. It's not very good to be like if you're a very expressive person, you wear your heart on your sleeve, or your face just kind of contorts and does things visibly, largely. Don't get into the medical profession because the feedback is terrifying. And you go into a doctor and you say, "Oh no, I've got this pain here on my elbow. It's actually on the inside of my elbow." And they start giving this feedback that tells you this might be a problem. I thought it was just I don't know what I thought it was, but I don't know what goes on at the elbow. I don't think there's a cancer for just about everything, and that's not like trying to be funny. I mean, it's tragic, really. There's a very diverse spectrum of cancer, but I don't think elbows yet have it. So whatever, I don't know. But the elbow is a poor choice, is my point. I should not have started with the elbow. But saying, okay, it hurts here, and I think I'm just saying, okay, I got a little bit of pain there. I'm over 40 years old. I have pains everywhere, and but the doctor gives you that feedback, a little furrow brow. It's like I'm either confusing you, which okay, that wouldn't be too bad because I'm kind of confused myself, obviously, but or okay, this is something I should worry about. So even if it's not something I should worry about, just the feedback that I'm getting tells me that I should. So there's that brief, wonderful moment of like, I'm going to die. Like I have something horrible that made the doctor scowl, and I am going to die. So anyway, this dentist is very, very expressive. But then he asks, he tells me, well, you shouldn't feel anything. Okay. Then he asks, can you feel that? And it's not even like, because he's not actively pulling at this point. It's just the whole thing hurts. Like he's actively pulling something out of my head. There is, I guess, the exposed root, or I don't know the science behind it. It just hurts. And I make it very clear I did. So the answer to this, I don't know what I thought the answer was. I thought telling him why I was in pain would somehow have a result that I would like. But he reaches, well, he doesn't reach for it. I guess he has his maniacal assistant. It's kind of like, the Dr. Frankenstein thing. You got little Igor crawling around. Fetch me the needle, the syringe. And it wasn't even a syringe. It was like a gun. I remember it being silver. I don't know why. And it kind of looked like it was held like a trigger. I don't know if I was delirious just imagining that. The whole lesson here, folks, is go under. They say don't, it's scary, anesthetics and all that kind of stuff. Just go under. Don't, if you can afford. I couldn't afford it. That was the thing. It would have cost more for them to knock me out than to just deal with it. So I got to deal with it, which I guess is fine. you can't overdose on. I keep wanting to say nicotine, but it's not nicotine. Is it nicotine? No, nicotine is that's the cigarette stuff. I don't remember the numbing agent. I said it earlier. Whatever. Well, yeah. No, wait. Did I start off saying nicotine? Now I need to go back and look. Look, I am a morning person, which is why I'm doing this in the morning, but that doesn't mean my brain is fully turned on. It's not nicotine. Novocaine. Okay, hopefully I said Novocaine earlier, and you aren't thinking, what the heck is this guy getting, nicotine injected? No wonder you're in a lot of pain. Nicotine isn't going to help you, man. That's not how nicotine works. I guess it kind of does. Isn't nicotine supposed to be the thing in cigarettes that gives you that woohoo? Yeah, I'm smoking. Like, yes, my breath is horrible. Yes, I'm discoloring my fingers. Yes, I'm staining my teeth. But I get a little woohoo, and I'm not trying to downplay, smoking, because I actually I have a lot of family members smoking, and a lot of folks do. Like, and it's serious when they're not regulars. Like, it's not, it's one thing if you're just chain smoking. Okay, you still have cigarettes. You still have the whole thing. But I got family who kind of hide it. They kind of do it. So if it gets bad enough that you see a cigarette butt sitting out somewhere, something's gone down, and this is their coping way. But I think my bottom line is nicotine, I think, is supposed to be the coping agent in that. It's supposed to make you chill, right? So in theory, I wasn't that far off. If I did say nicotine, I wasn't that far off, because I'm sure you could inject the feel-good drug into your body and you would feel good there. It makes sense. But I'm talking about Novocaine. That's what I meant to say. But I know I said nicotine. Now I know I said nicotine because I was talking about caffeine. That's how this whole thing started. I was talking about not drinking coffee and none of the teens working. So I think I did say nicotine, which is comedy gold right there. There's nothing like sounding like a complete schmuck. Anyway, yeah. So, well, hopefully I said Novocaine, but I'm guessing I said nicotine. And the whole time you're going, what is this guy talking about? So Novocaine is what they were injecting. And so I don't know what I thought the solution was going to be, but he gets the nicotine, the Novocaine gun, and he's going to shoot me in the top of the mouth again. And it's just, I would have said, I should have kept my mouth shut, but I mean, that would defeat the entire purpose. But I mean, really, I think that was we were only on like the first or second tooth. We had 4 of these, like all 4 of them had to go, and they all had to go that day. So I couldn't regret my decision, because there was no way I was going to be able to sit through 3 more teeth getting pulled, especially if it felt like that. So yeah, shot me up in the mouth with a second dose. We gave it a couple minutes to set in, and then we got started. And he told me, well, the first one I used was nicotine. I was just trying something out. Obviously, that didn't work out so well, so we're going to go back to Novocaine and get that done. See, that's the kind of thing you got to worry about if you go with anesthetics. If they get those kind of concepts mixed up, you never know what you're going to end with. But so all of that to say, whether it's a teen like caffeine or an een like caffeine, or I don't know why I can't keep that word in my brain. I keep going thinking nicotine. Maybe I need some nicotine. Maybe that's the message here. Novocaine. The anes or the eens, whatever the word is, it doesn't have the desired effect on my body in the recommended dosage. I need double, maybe even triple. In that case, I got through it after that second dose of Novocaine. But so caffeine doesn't really, at least in coffee, doesn't do much for me. I need like 4 cups. Well, no, I need somewhere between 3 and 4 cups. It's a mystery fraction somewhere. Well, I'm American, so of course we have fractions. It'd be easier with a decibel. Decimal. That's, this is fantastic. It's got to be somewhere in that range between 3 and 4, whether we're decimaling it or we're fractioning it, because I can never find the sweet spot. Either I get too close to the 4th cup and I start to feel the jittery thing come on, which you all know. I mean, that happens to everybody, but like where you've drank too much, which you could argue 4 cups of coffee is too much, certainly, but 3 cups wasn't getting it done. So I have to go over 3, but I can't get exactly to 4, because somewhere in there, in that magic equation is, okay, I'm alert. I've got, it's doing what it's supposed to do, what all these other people, all the magic of caffeine. I'm getting a little bit of that, but not enough where I'm like jittering and feel like I'm an addict and having withdrawals. I'm guessing that's what that feels like to some small degree. I don't know. This robe is actually hot. This may not be a great idea, but you know what? I really wanted to sell the fact, well, I don't need to sell it. I mean, it's actually the first thing I grab in the morning, so I just didn't get dressed up for y'all. Sorry, you're getting a little bit of, I'll move the mic over here. Oh, okay, screw it. I got chest hair. Sue me. So yeah, it doesn't work as intended. You have to use a lot more. I get that from my dad's side of the family. They're very, very non-sensitive to medicine, which can be good because on the other side of my family somehow is the extreme opposite. You know, if you're supposed to give them a Tylenol, give them a quarter. You know, you got to like break it into quarters or something because just there it's hypersensitivity, and that'll send you in a whole other direction. So it's either you're not getting enough of what you took the medicine for, or you're getting way too much and you're back in the hospital to get medicine for the medicine that you took too much of. So I don't know. So I'm a hybrid. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not as sensitive. Well, no, that's not how that works. The math doesn't work out. If one side is very, very sensitive, the other side is not at all, and I'm not at all, I'm not in the middle. I'm not a hybrid. I just took after my dad. That's the easy way to say that. So, bottom line, this is not coffee. This is water. High quality H2O. And that was not what I was going to talk about this morning, but that's what I like about it, just kind of going wherever the wind may take us. And so I'm not going to, which is good because trying to remember something you wanted to say, that's when you end up blanking. You have these moments. I've tried to do this before, and it's very hard. The word that I got the last time that I tried to do stand-up, and that's really why I'm doing this. That's the first episode is talking essentially about stand-up that did not go well, why I am doing sit-down stand-up. I got to get that inflection right. Because I have tried stand-up on 3 different occasions, and it has not gone well. Now, usually, look, people say, oh, you got to persevere. You just got to stick through it. You just got to keep going at it. No, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to take this sitting down. I'm just going to back off and try it. There's mechanical reasons. Well, not mechanical reasons. Look, things are different. Humor is different when you're sitting down than standing up. I wouldn't expect you to know. You're not a professional like myself. But it's a different dynamic. So this isn't actually like I'm doing a bit really, or I'm doing a set, obviously, because you can tell by the runtime. If I was really working on a set, I would have like 2 or 3 minutes that you kind of work in small chunks, like trying to develop it out. I am trying to develop it, but that's not fun for you to hear the same joke done a slightly different way. I'm still working this out. I was going to do it in front of, do it on a stream. And I was like, well, that's great. That's the best thing I need right off the jump is to invite heckles, like to make it a situation where I can be heckled, which isn't a problem. It wasn't a problem when I did stand up either. It's crazy. And look, it's one of those things where, if you make a video and you don't get any hate comments, you don't get any like, oh, your content sucks or something like that, then you're not getting to a big enough audience. That's just how it works. If you're big enough to be where you want to be, you're big enough for people to dislike you and let you know that they dislike you because they enjoy letting you know that they dislike you. So I'm not big enough. I haven't got there yet. I do think this video will be the exception because people, obviously the concept of sit down, stand up. It's implied in the title that there will be some stand up on this stand up podcast. But again, I'm sitting down, so it's a little bit different, and I'm still trying to work through it. But folks, this is me at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when I started. A little bit late for a morning person standard, but yeah, this is at my best. It just goes downhill from here. I am great from about 5 o'clock in the morning till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I hit a not so subtle wall where it is just an active effort to stay awake, not even be productive, just stay awake. So if I'm not working like a physically demanding job like construction or something like that, I'm going downhill fast. I can take a nap. If I'm working from home, I'll take a nap at like 3 to 5. And then I can make it till like all the way until like 9:30. And then I hit another wall because morning person. The world is not built for morning people. Like social interactions are not built for it. I'm at a severe disadvantage in my life. I'm a morning person, which we are a very small minority. You find another morning person, you're like, oh my gosh, look at you. Yeah, like you look just like me. It's so crazy. But there's a connection. You feel a connection, kindred spirit when you meet somebody from a morning person because they're just not out there usually. And because you don't have to say, I'm a night person. Nobody says there's night owl, but night owl means like you like to be like you're up overnight. You're nocturnal. Like that's the whole idea. So night owl is specifically for the really crazy people, the vampiric type people of the night. People of the night, not ladies of the night. You can be a people of the night, equal opportunity for men and women. That sounds good. But if you say lady of the night, that has a connotation to it. So people of the night, they are people of the night. But you have to go out of your way to say you're a morning person. You have to say like I'm a night person. Like I'm okay functioning between 5 o'clock in the evening and like 11 o'clock at night, or yeah, about 11 or 12 really. That doesn't have to be said. That's a default setting. You have to go out of your way to say I'm a morning person. I don't function past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 2:30 really, if we're going to be fair about it. But like I said, my early time is a little bit earlier than most too, 4:30 or 5. As long as I got my 7 hours, I can be up at that point within about 5 minutes. I'm good to go. Maybe still a little fuzzy in the face area. I don't know how to describe that better. You know how it feels. Morning person, dude. I don't know how you night people feel. Yeah, because I don't talk to you in the morning. Like you won't talk to me. I send you a text. It's at 5:30 and you ignore me. So I don't know how alert you are, how you would respond, because you just ignore me until 11 o'clock in the morning when you finally roll out of bed. And even then you're grouchy about it. My goodness gracious, it is a, yeah. Actually, to people's credit, I have not really met somebody who is, like anybody says they aren't a morning person, they don't have the energy to be mean. They're like in some kind of like haze. Like I don't become hazy when I get tired. I get irritated, irritable. It's kind of like hangry, but tired. What you call it, tired. You just get tired. And like the irritation can kind of get there, but I don't, you don't care, but you're irritated. So like I'm irritated that I'm up. So it's not anybody's fault. I'm irritated that I'm still awake because I don't want to be, or I don't want to be doing something where I'm vertical or, halfway committed to being vertical. But I don't really have the energy to have that come out too much. And I guess it's not we're very alike. We're very similar. You and I, you non-morning people, or no, you non-morning people. That's how we're gonna turn this thing around. We're gonna start using terms that normalize morning people. So you're not a morning person, which we actually already have. Screw it, dang it. Here I thought I was gonna revolutionize the world. We already say I'm not a morning person. Doesn't say what you are. You just say you're not a morning person, as if being a morning person is the default, but the fact that we have to call somebody a morning person means that it's not the default. I don't know. We're all getting shafted here, is my point. None of us are normal. None of us have it together. But I think I've come across more people that are lively, that want to do some gaming. Hey, you want a game? Let's start at 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, I have to take a nap just to get to 7 o'clock at night, let alone push past it to, like I said, 9:30. But I want a game for like 3 or 4 hours, which would be normally great. Let's start now. 5 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the morning. Most people don't start going to work until 9. Granted, you have to shower and everything, but like we can make it work. We do 3 hours, 5 to 8, and then you shower and do whatever and you go to work. It's like exercise, but wonderfully not exercise. But I mean, doing that too, like the exercise, if I don't do it in the morning, it doesn't get done. I tell myself in the morning, if I wake up and go, you know what? I'm going to wait till the end of the day. Like I'm going to do it right at the end, get my metabolism all worked up. And it's going to be a great way to close out the day. I've been sitting down all day. I'm going to need to stand up and get the blood flowing for that last little bit. I'm a morning person. That's not going to happen. When I get to that point after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I do not want to do anything at all. I mean, reading a book, it's a little heavy. It's a little heavy. Depending on how you sit, you can prop it up on something or whatever. But there's really not a lot I want to be doing after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which, I mean, the more I say that, the sadder it sounds, but it is true. Like I'm more inclined to be reclined after 3 o'clock. I was going to say lying down, but then my brain the last second was like, hey, this rhymes. It's not as accurate, but actually it is. Reclined is anyway. So the bottom line is doing this in the morning, at least for right now, and trying to figure out the format. Obviously, the point. So don't be sitting there going like, "Where's the joke? Where's the joke?" Because there might not be one. This is just talking, but it is talking with the intent to bring into focus some funny things or to be amusing. I'm not going to say things that decidedly aren't funny, like it's not going to be dry. It's not going to be humorless. I don't know if what exactly is going to land, because, as I said, I learned to adapt. You got to kind of roll with the punches, and my brain locks down. So let me start at the beginning, because that's where all stories should start, at the beginning. I've tried to do stand-up 3 different times. The first time I was with a sketch comedy group in college. Now, it's not as awesome as it sounds. I mean, it was really cool to be a part of it, but this was not like a university, as you think about it, 30,000 kids and sketch group. Because, those people at my age are like retiring from doing stand-up and movies and everything, because you get in a sketch comedy group in like NYC or something like that, and it's a pipeline into Saturday Night Live and all these other shows that used to make comedic actors. I think it's been a while since it's worked like that, but I don't know. But it wasn't one of those things. I actually went to a small school. It's called Christopher Newport University down in Newport News. I hadn't heard of it either. I lived 3 hours away from it and still had no clue. Most people, almost everybody who went there, that was the one thing we all had in common. Do you know this place exists? Nope. I had no idea it was here. It was like a college, it was a community college for a while, and it got upgraded. I didn't know you could do that, but small student body, 5,000, 6,000 people, I think, back when we started. It's a lot bigger now. I don't know about the student body, but like the campus has really sprawled. But anyway, some friends had this idea to do it. They loved, students of sitcoms and sketch comedy and everything. And they showed up and had this vision for doing this. And I was doing theater at the time, so I kind of got plugged in as the inside man. I know how it works. Not anything to do with the production, like anything that would actually be useful in terms of like using the stage as a venue or anything like that. I just knew, this is where you stand when you're performing most times, because there are seats in front of you on this raised platform and they can see you really well, as it's built for that. Theater, that's what I brought to the table. But anyway, it was there was like 8 or 9 of us. And it worked. It went off really well, because the campus was so devoid of really anything going on. That's what I'm saying. Very, very small. That just anything that was noteworthy, anything that was presented or attempted to be presented in terms of entertainment, was a big deal. And so we filled out the small, like 250 seats. That's how you feel good about yourself. Standing room only. Yeah, we had 20 seats. But we did. I think it was 200 seats. It was an intimate. There you go. That's the euphemism, right? You're not fat, you're portly, or executive cut. It's not a tiny venue. It is intimate. It's an intimate environment. That's how you make yourself feel better about being in front of friends and family, or just family, because even your friends don't necessarily want to be a part of whatever you're doing. But anyway, it was a very small theater. We packed it out. There was, people standing, and we ended up becoming a part of we took over the very tiny budget and the modest imperative of bringing entertainment either to campus or putting on entertainment, whether it was bringing in a stand-up comedian or a band or something, or hosting entertaining events, concerts, those types of things. And one of the first things we did, just to kind of, so we weren't spending a ton of money, is we hosted a open mic night, for musicians. There was no karaoke, but like you could do, music and singing and all that kind of stuff, and stand up. And because I was a part of the group, I was able to request a slot of time in the lineup, and it was given to me, because we didn't know anything back then. We didn't know, like, there's a lot that goes into stand up. I'm not saying this because I'm trying to do it, but really, whether it's an obvious setup, why the chicken cross the road to get to the other side, like that's an obvious setup and punchline. There's a lot of classic stand up that is that way. But as many of you know, you've got observational humor, kind of like Jerry Seinfeld, where it's just finding ways to talk about life in a way that is just funny. And then there are storytellers, and there's impressionists. There's all kinds of stand up, but all of them have, in essence, the setup and punchline, no matter what like story you're telling. And that's kind of where I think I might hit choppy C's here, because some of the stuff my mind is going to naturally flow into veins that I've thought about before, some that I've even developed material for. And those have a punchline. They have a destination of where you're trying to get, like, if I talk about this, I'm going to land on this spot, and this is going to be, humor. Everything I've said so far has not been in that vein. I think I might have said one thing that I thought about before. Everything else is just kind of off the top of the brain. So it's a different thing. But usually, like, you have to package a joke, and no matter whether you're telling a story or not, you've got to be able to set it up in a way that what you're saying is funny. You can't just ramble. So I'm kind of doing a hybrid right now where I am rambling, but I am doing it with the intention of hitting a punchline of sorts. Again, we'll see how it goes. I might have to do a little prep work beforehand. That kind of throws a wrench into the mix, but the bottom line is when I do prep work, I've tried to do a video like this a bunch of different times. I didn't have the amazing branding that I do now, but I tried to do it, and I kept hitting a wall because my brain is not a very flexible, I was going to say organism, but that sounds really freaky. We'll call it an organ. I think it's an organ, right? I think everything in your body is an organ. Your skin is an organ, if I'm not mistaken. So when everything is an organ, nothing is. So I don't know what to call my brain, but it's a spongy gray matter. My brain does not do well with constraints, or I'm sorry, it purposely wants to be constrained. It says, okay, here's the thing that I need to talk about. Here's the order. Very, very scripted, very, very linear in its thinking or in the way it wants to do it. But that's the planning side of my brain. We have different hemispheres. I don't know how all this works. I'm sure some brilliant person can tell me. There's a part of my brain that says, here's how we're going to do things. And then there's a part of my brain that actually has to do the execution and says, I don't work like that. So they're not really talking to each other. One is saying, this is how we must do things. The other is saying, I can't do things that way. I don't know if that's normal for a brain to be at odds with itself, but mine is. And so I'm always trying to listen to the planning side of my brain, which is telling me, okay, there's a joke here, that there's a thing you wanted to say at this point. And the other side of my brain is going, I don't know. I'm just winging it. New ideas, new thought. Hey, look, I'm talking about this over here. There's something else going on. Here's another thought that just popped in here. And the other side of the brain is like, no, focus on what you need to say. And then the other side of my brain is like, okay, what am I supposed to say? And it was like, I don't have the information. I'm just telling you what the program is. You're supposed to be providing the information. So there's just the very scattered, unorganized, like, I got it here somewhere, and flipping through the pages, and you got this very, very, I picture that very straight rod, almost like a, straight rod, pointy nose, pointy chin, just very proper, very, I am the brain, and I am telling you what you need to say. Or no, that's a problem. I'm telling you, you need to say what has been prepared. That's why we spent hours. We spent 2.5 weeks in the most recent case. Spent 2.5 weeks preparing to say something. Say that thing that you prepared. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know where it is. I had it somewhere in here, but it's not here. Can I do something else? No. Stick to the plan. Okay, well then I'm gonna have to just sort through these papers and find the bit that I'm supposed to be saying right now. And of course, all of that's brilliant. Like, all of that is going on inside this little dome here, and that is amazing. But all you're seeing is so that's where I'd always hit a wall, because I'm trying to retrieve the information that my brain is telling me I need to say right now, and the other part of my brain is like, nope, I just want to go somewhere else. I just want to frolic through the fields. I have a very hippie, very barefoot through the meadows side of my brain, and unfortunately, that's the one that keeps track of my information. So that's my problem in a nutshell, which is why I'm at where I'm at right now, and sitting down doing stand up. If you say it enough times, it becomes something you remember. And that'll be helpful in the future, I suppose. But anyway, so the whole premise, going back to that college situation, I got time, not just any time, because back then, that's how you don't know jack about stand-up. If your first go at stand-up is 10 minutes, Did I not say that? I don't think I told you that. 10 minutes. It was 10 minutes is the amount of time. It might have been 15. I think I'm mitigating it because it sounds horrible. Like, I mean, this is an open mic thing. This is not like a 6-hour event. This is not Woodstock. This is not like some broad thing, battle of the bands kind of thing where it's like a all day thing. It was a night. And to think that I got a 15-minute chunk of time unproven. They didn't even ask me to do my shtick. I just did it. And they just trusted me, and they were fools for doing so. And I was, oh my gosh, but yeah, it might have bbeen 15. It might, because that doesn't sound long. When you're doing theater, you know, your shows are 2.5 hours, you know, a lot of the time. So 15 minutes, and you see the stand-up acts all the time. You know, you'll see like they do their specials. They're like an hour long. So 15 minutes, that's like nothing. But if you know stand-up, you know 3 minutes is not nothing. Like 3 minutes of really good, focused, honed material is really good. People build on that. They do, you know, bits. It's like, hey, I've worked up to 7 minutes. I've worked up to, which isn't, I don't know if that's ideal because a lot of times you get, like I was trying to do stand up here in Texas. And of course there's nothing within an hour and a half of here. So I got to drive into Houston, and most places like the Improv, like really any place that I would say is guaranteed to, you're going to have an audience there that's there to laugh, to do comedy. You get 3 minutes and your name gets drawn out of a bucket. I mean, that's what they say. I don't know if it's literally a bucket. I don't think it matters if it's a bucket or a cup or a hat. Bucket just sounds not dismissive. I don't know how to say it, but it just makes it sound very calloused. Like it's not optimistic. Like throw your name in the bucket. It's like throw your name in the toilet. Well, that's not. It's just not. It doesn't sound good. Where they say like there was one place I went to. They say, put your name in a hat. Now, granted, if you're thinking in my mind when I think hat, I think top hat, or I think like a bowler, like a really nice, elegant hat. This is like a trucker hat, so that might actually be worse than the bucket. Either way, it doesn't, like you're putting your name into it. It sounds like you're just going, don't really think this is going to pan. I'm just throwing my name in a bucket, pissing it away. My name, my precious name, my name, and I'm just throwing it in a bucket. So it just sounds very pessimistic, I think, to throw your name in a bucket. It's not like you're putting it in for a raffle. You're submitting your name. Submitting your name sounds good. Putting your name in a bucket sounds like a throwaway. And it pretty much is. It's random. So, I mean, now granted, your chances, I think it's like the 2.5 hour window, because they don't do open mic every night, obviously. So you just have this very limited time. Well, there's like 1 or 2 days a week you can do it. And yeah, I'm going to drive out hour and a half, put my name in a bucket, and whatever container it happens to be, if my name is with 20 others, there's a very good chance I'm not going on stage. So, and as much as I like to be around it and everything, but actually I don't. That's part of the problem too. That's part of the mechanism that really sucks. So not only am I not a night person, I mean, so anybody who does stand up, as soon as I said I'm a morning person, you probably went, oh, you poor soul, because that applies to stand up. Stand up, you talk like Gaffigan has done a bit where he just talks about, you're at the club like 2:00 in the morning. They're like, hey, how about you go up? And like, to me, that's a nightmare. I get sweaty palms. I'm not thinking about going in front of people. I think about, like, I get sweaty palms thinking I have to be somewhere at 2:00 in the morning. Like they might ask me to go on at 2:00 in the morning. Now that was an extreme. I'm sure that was an extreme circumstance, but I know that comedy clubs they're late because it's for the bar crowd. It's people who want to be out having a great night, not a great early evening. So yeah, I could go up at 11:00 at night, and I mean the adrenaline. The only reason I'm willing to try it still is because I feel like the adrenaline is going to be there. It's going to be enough to actually like to wake me up, but. That's my hope. I haven't had to test it out yet because going back to it, this is the other side of my brain. Hey, you've got a story to tell. Tell the story. That's what's on the agenda right now. Tell this story. I know I started it, but I decided to swap out the script in the middle, and so I'm going somewhere else now. That's okay. No, stick to it. Okay, well, it's buried under 4 different pages now because I was actually flipping through other ones. So anyway, but I'm right. I've lost wherever that tangent was going. whatever I was talking about at that moment, it's gone. So I'm going back to the college because that is what where the story is at the moment. So I'm in college. Well, we don't have to go back that far. Fast forward a bit, flip through the papers. And here we are. Get 15 minutes. Right. That's where I started talking about all this. 15 minutes is asinine. It is asinine for unproven, untested guy who's just trying this out. That's why I was saying name in a bucket. And that's one of the reasons why it's kind of hard to do it. That's one of the reasons I'm trying the sit down and stand up format, because right now, feasibly, my best shot at getting in front of a legit audience is to go 2.5 hours or an hour and a half. It's getting longer now, uphill and back. It's not quite as much if you're driving. I used to drive to school every day, uphill both ways. Okay, who cares? Like, it's a car. But this, that joke works better when you had to walk to school. Anyway, or not a joke, but that saying, it sounded more powerful. And now it's like, well, or take my little powered scooter up the hill both ways. You may really make that little motor whine. But yeah, so now I'm screwed because I got two different things that I was talking about. One of them, just to finish that thought off, as I said, I'm a morning person. I don't like noise. That actually is part of the shtick. So I'm going to try to, or something that I've thought about a bit. So I'm going to try to steer clear of that. But being in a noisy place, I don't drink. Especially, I'm not going to drink if I'm going to have to drive. So I'm just going to be sitting there in this environment waiting to go on. So it's not an environment that I would normally be in naturally, because that's not where I don't mind going to a comedy show or to see a comedian, but to just be I would say mingling. It sounds bad to say I don't mingle, but I don't mind if I can make a friend there, no problem. If circumstances put us in a situation where we have to talk to each other somehow, I will be happy to talk under duress, and we might become great friends, you and I, as long as you don't do small talk. I cannot stand small talk. It is conversational sandpaper is small talk. I would rather be doing anything else, and that wears me down. But that was going to be a whole, well, yeah. So I'm an introvert. That's part of it. I think I just mentioned that off the cuff now. I'm an introvert who doesn't like it late at night and doesn't typically like being around people because of the introvert part. Being around a lot of people you don't know drains your batteries, especially if those people try to talk to you. That can be a problem. We'll circle back around to that later. I don't know if I can pull anything else that makes doing stand-up comedy the traditional way a bad idea for me. I feel like that's a conversion of more than enough factors. And then you factor in the whole one side of the brain telling me to do the routine, the other side of the brain forgetting where the routine was. It really doesn't coalesce to do well. But just know my brain was like that back in my college days. Natural segue back to the original story. College. 15 minutes. Well, 10. I'm gonna do myself a favor. I'm gonna be very kind and retroactively say it was only 10 minutes. Because honestly, anything over 5, and I still feel like a schmuck. I should have gone up there with 3 to 5, a window of 5 tops, where I could bail if I needed to and just try it out. Now, I remember at the end, my professional summation of how things went was 75%. That I was 100 is nailing it. I was thinking 75. Future me looks back at that me and says 20, 25, maybe. Like you actually entertained people genuinely for 25% of the time that you were up there. So we're just going to say 10 minutes to make the math work out. I still don't know what it is, but 10 is a round number. It should work out. 25% of 10 is... Well, 10 doesn't break in a quarter. 12 minutes. Let's say it was 12. There we go. Happy medium. It wasn't 10 minutes, but it wasn't 15, but it wasn't 10. It was 12. So 25 of 12 is 3 minutes. I think. Yeah. 3 minutes. I was entertaining. There you go. See, the math checks out. If I just done 3 minutes, I'm going to find. Anyway, so I'm up there, and here's the problem with me. One of the many. I'm very impressionable in the sense that not necessarily the content rubs off on me, but the way it's done. So I had just finished watching Man on the Moon, which was a Jim Carrey movie about Andy Kaufman. I watched Taxi a little bit when I was a kid. It was kind of before my time. But I didn't know, I'd never heard the name Andy Kaufman until Man on the Moon came out. So I didn't really know anything about the real guy, but you watch these movies and based on a true story that 5% of it is going to be real. Everything else is bullcrap. And the 5% is like, and the coolest part, the part that really, like, I remember Patch Adams. I don't remember much about it other than like coming out going, wow, what an amazing based on a true story that was. And then you do a little bit of research and find that all the really cool stuff didn't actually happen. That's the artistic license. So it's like, there was a guy named Patch Adams and he kind of did this and this, but the really cool thing, the miracle that we had and the life-changing thing and all this kind of stuff, none of that actually happened. I was just, he made a difference, right? And technically he made it. Now, I'm not dissing on Patch Adams. I don't remember it. I just remember being really let down. There were like two things that I really loved about the movie and I was really excited. And then I found out both of those were artistic embellishments. So, but Patch Adams came after Man on the Moon, I believe. I don't know. Don't fact check me. Oh, fact check me. Fine. Let's all learn something new today. See, this is where the heckles would come in. But and that's actually okay. Like educational heckling is fine. Like, hey, your fly's down or you suck. I mean, it's educational. Let you know where you stand, which is fine. I don't mind that. I think responding to heckles would be kind of fun, but it just, a stream would have been, to go back to that train of thought, a stream would have been a bit of a problem just because if you come in the middle of it, it's not like, okay, this is the official start time, like an actual like event. Hey, the stream is starting now. People show up, they gather. I wait for them to gather at the start time I start. And so more than likely the people that are here 20 minutes were here in the first minute. So I don't have to go back. And it just becomes very hard to do any kind of air quotes. I don't know why. This is involuntary right now. This is all that caffeine in my water. But anyway, the stand-up. 10 minutes. Andy Kaufman. There we go. Andy Kaufman, Man on the Moon. So yeah, I don't know how much of it is actually true. There wasn't a lot of like grotesquely inspirational stuff in there. Like I didn't walk away being like, oh, I wonder if that actually happened. I mean, the guy is, I mean, he does his own thing and he pisses a lot of people off, makes a lot of people laugh, is very difficult to work with. Unfortunately gets cancer and tries pretty much everything, I think, but I think he was bald by the end. So I think maybe he eventually did do chemo, but it was too late. It was tragic. And people didn't want to, they thought maybe he wasn't dead and because he had faked his own death, I think, before. Yeah, man, I need to watch that movie again. It's been a long time. Anyway, I just watched that, and none of that really made an impact on me. None of that was the impact. What impacted me was Tony Clifton, and Tony Clifton was Andy Kaufman's alter. Well, I wouldn't call him an alter. He had a lot of alter egos. One of his many alter egos, but he manifested Tony Clifton. It was a lounge singer. He had these big, like I think they were like aviator glasses, or just maybe like old school, like I don't know how to describe them, just big sunglasses, big parted bouffant type hair, and he had like some pretty significant makeup on there that kind of give him a little got a little chubby cheeks there, and he talked like this. Yeah, Tony. At least this is the way he would talk when on Man on the Moon. This is how Jim Carrey did the voice. I don't know. I haven't actually heard Andy Kaufman do the voice, so I don't know if this sounds like his Tony Clifton, but he kind of sounds like this. And he does that. He makes that little noise. It was great. I loved that character. I didn't like him. I wouldn't have wanted to meet him in real life, but in the context of the movie, he was hilarious. And just this most, I mean, some of the stuff, he could be very crass. That was the problem. He was very abrasive, which again, that's the funny point. If you're watching it as an audience, it's funny. If you're the director or the producer or somebody who's around this guy, it's like, it's terrifying because it's not actually Tony Clifton. That guy doesn't exist. He is a character. It's like Andy Kaufman made himself a schizophrenic. Like he divided himself into, he created multiple people. And when he was that person, he was just always that person. It's never a good policy. I'm going to say, I don't think it's a good policy to artificially make yourself schizophrenic, but and I'm not saying that's the exact definition, the medical definition of the word, but he did, he would adopt, create a personality and then latch onto it for an extended duration, or that's how it was portrayed. I don't know how the real deal went. I do know there was a lot of issues on set, which I can understand. Like if I've hired Andy Kaufman, the actor, and Tony Clifton shows up. Well, Kafka, I think was his character in Taxi. Tony Clifton can't play that character, and he wants to play himself. And it was a mess. And the movie, to be fair, it does show that. It didn't try to make it seem like Andy Kaufman was necessarily all easy to work with. People did mourn him, at least in the movie. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely one way of going about it. That's another euphemism. Intimate. It's an intimate environment, and well, that's one way to go about it. That's never said because it was a good way to go about it or the right way to go about it. It was a way to go about it. So I don't know, but people throw the word around genius a lot. I've been called that most of my life. It's a cross I have to bear. But apparently, Andy Kaufman was also a comedian. But the bottom line, the reason why I'm telling you this now, I'm going to cut myself off at the 60-minute mark because I think I do need to rein it in at a point, and I can just be going on forever. So I'm probably not even going to get through what I consider to be the intro to this series in the first episode. But let's see if we can at least finish out phase 1, which was the first time doing stand-up. I just finished watching Man on the Moon, very inspired by the Tony Clifton character. So I didn't do an impression, which that probably would have worked out if I just got up there and did it. Because the thing was, again, he could be very crass, but he also just did bad jokes, lounge singer jokes. What's your name, sir? Bob. Bob. What's your last name? Up and down on the water? Look, it's not crazy funny, but it is. I thought it was funny. So in my brain, again, dealing with the shenanigans I got going up there, I thought it would be really funny to do a stand-up thing where I just talked like me, like this, for like a minute, and then for some reason, I mean, it hurts, folks, it hurts. Oh, do you have those memories? Like where you physically wince if you bring up the memory, the moment in time where you did a thing, said a thing, something was said to you, an experience. It's almost like nails on a chalkboard. It's almost like biting on a fork. I don't know. Like with your back teeth. I don't know. If you think about biting on a fork with your back, Anyway, okay. Maybe it's just me, and I've just opened up some kind of new medical query or something, like what's wrong with what is this? But I'm sure there's probably a phobia or something. I don't know. Fear of biting on a fork with your back teeth. I don't know what it is. That just put nails on. It's that kind of thing where you can't help but wince. It's involuntary. It's not physical pain, but the mental pain is so acute. So I don't, mercifully, now they did record this, and thank God I didn't have that tape anywhere. I don't know what happened to it. It burned in the fires of Mount Doom is my only hope. But I know, and I remember what I was wearing. I had this really nice, well, look, it's not important what I was wearing. This is not, I'm not trying to set the stage here. This is not a dramatic storytelling where you need to know what I was wearing. I thought I was wearing a cool outfit. That's all you needed to know, which for me, guarantee you meant it was not cool, but I thought it was. I found myself quite cool and quite funny at the time as well. And neither one of those were accurate, but I would switch between normal Jesse and jerk Jesse. So didn't even have, I'm terrified to think that I try to do like a New York accent. No offense to any New Yorkers out there, but like, if you're trying to come off as kind of like pushy, like whatever. I don't even know if this is New York. I don't know if it's anywhere really, but this is my New York for right now. For better or for worse, this is what I would call it. Maybe it's my New Jersey. I don't know. I don't really lay into it that much, but it's kind of going Christopher Walken-esque. But anyway, like, I don't know, like different accents, we can acknowledge, right? If I talk like this, whatever, you're going to think I don't know nothing unless I'm talking about tractors or farming or something like that. Or I'm going to have a folksy saying that, made sense 300 years ago. We lost all the context and now it just sounds retarded. Something along them lines. The accents work for different things. If you hear British, you automatically think very intelligent, very, very smart, very witty, and all sorts of things. And everything in between, you've got all different stuff. We don't need to go there, but for right now. But different accents mean different things. So I think, in my mind, being brave, I should have just done Tony Clifton. Like, it couldn't have been worse. It would have been a hack job ripoff of Andy Kaufman. But, you know what I could do? But we didn't have modern Hollywood at the time. I could have called it an homage. I could have just ripped the guts out of it. I could have even used his actual bit and then just said, it's an homage. I'm paying an homage to, that might be as close to political as I get. Like I'm not going to literally talk about politics, but maybe you love Hollywood right now. I'm not a huge fan. And yeah, we had this craze where it was like, dude, you just rehashed the original movie. Like the Star Wars, the only one of the new Disney stuff that I saw was the first one. because after that I realized it was not going in a good direction. But like I got done, I was like, they went out of their way, went through like narrative gymnastics to reset them so that they're the rebellion again. Like there's 1,001 ways you could have done this, and I mean, kind of made them the underdog. They don't have to be the underdog. Like they're still trying to establish it. The galaxy's a really big place. And so even 10 years later, 15 years later, the Empire, I mean, look at the expanded universe. As much as people don't want to go there, like I'm just gone. No, you gotta be careful because I can go off on Star Wars, pre-Disney Star Wars forever. But I mean, the expanded universe, what they call the Legends or whatever. Now, I don't know what they call it now. I still call it the EU, which raises some confusion, but I don't care. There's only one EU, the only one that I care about, and that is expanded universe for Star Wars in particular. I don't know if anybody else, I guess Marvel has an expanded universe now. Anyway, the EU, they were able to show a lot of while still keeping the Republic as a thing, and Leia being a leadership in there, and General Solo having some weight and some clout, usually never enough to get anything done. It's kind of like the transporter in Star Trek. It worked great as a like basic plot device, but anytime they actually needed to do something, it couldn't work because it was the instant solution. It was always breaking, malfunctioning. Oh, something's got wrong with the tractor beam. We've got to reset it or something. And, the firmware needs to be updated. Whatever it is. And so it's kind of the same thing. Like he was General Solo, but he was like super high up. I mean, in terms of his affluence, he was a hero of the rebellion and all that kind of stuff. And that got so far, like in the first chapter or two, like some small little thing came up and he was able to play that card. And then after that, I was like, but he's just kind of like, he's not as relevant as he needs to be. I mean, even Leia, really, to be fair, like a lot of the stuff would happen in spite of her. It was one of those things where, I'm sorry, Leia, we can't, politically speaking, we have to do this. Anyway, bottom line is, what was the bottom line? Goodness gracious. Bottom line is there's plenty of ways for you to tell a great Star Wars story without resetting the rebellion. But that's what they did. They essentially went back and rehashed New Hope for the most part. And with a lot of the vibes, we've even started off on a desert planet. I mean, really, the desert is not interesting. Do we understand that a true desert is probably the least interesting thing ever? Like Hoth, the cold snow is more interesting than desert. Desert is just sand dunes and whatever nasty little creatures are out there. At least, well, obviously there's wampas and all that kind of stuff in Hoth, but like you don't have a bunch of little creepy things crawling around because it's too cold. Anyway, we don't need to have a pissing contest between an ice cube planet and a desert planet, but I'm just saying the aesthetic really isn't there enough for us to have 3 movies that all kick off in a desert. And then you've got Dune, which is just essentially a nice way of saying desert. So it boggles the mind. But anyway, why was I talking about? Oh yes, because until that point, it was just a ripoff. Like we just said, you just ripped off the original and added very little of value. No, we paid homage to the original. So that's what I could have done. I could have paid homage to Tony Clifton or Andy Kaufman by doing a bit and yeah, maybe using my own material to some degree. But I could have gone that. It could not have gone worse. Now, here's the thing, and this would be the hallmark of my comedy. I never got heckled. Oops. Spoiler alert. Then the other 2 times I did comedy, I did not get heckled. And I don't know to this day whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, because it was like what I was saying was so foreign or incomprehensible or so bizarre that either they really had no idea what they were listening to and they were trying to sort it out, and it was so far removed from their own life experience or what they were prepared to hear that they couldn't come up with a way to mock it, because it was just, it's like, I mean, look, I know this might be political too, but like flat Earth, like I'm at a disadvantage in a conversation about flat Earth because I've never had to prove that the Earth is round. Like that was just kind of a truism. It was just kind of like there's a lot of, subjective stuff out there, whatever. I've never thought I would have to argue the shape of the planet. I thought we had more than enough like information on what the planet was, and that it's a ball. We have images, we have all this stuff, but apparently none of that is actually true. So a flat earther comes up and tries to have an argument. It's round. That's all. It's round. No, it's round. It's not flat. It's round. That's all I can do. That's all I can say, because I'm not prepared for that kind of an argument. And so, yeah, I wasn't ready for it. So I don't know why I was saying that, but we already hit that 60-minute mark. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye, and I'll talk to you next time. I don't have to make it literally 60 minutes. I can do a better farewell than that. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to do this. Crank out one a day. I guess it's not a bad way to start. I'll probably start a little bit earlier next time. I will make every concerted effort to kind of pick up where I left off. In this case, I kind of have to because I left it off in the middle of nowhere. But 60-minute, that's the format. 60-minute episodes. Yeah, just me, my mighty mug. Again, your face or product here. This has had no less than 12 seconds of screen time today. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. But thanks for joining me for this. I do apologize for the rambling, but I mean, that is going to be the format. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for your time, and I will see you in the next one.